Welcome to the Hobby Handbook, your weekly dose of news, deals, and data from the world of sports cards. Hosted by Alex, aka Clever Cuban Cards. New episodes every Thursday. Look for more Clever Cuban Cards content over on TikTok and YouTube. Check us out live on Whatnot every Sunday and Wednesday.
Welcome to the Hobby Handbook. This is your weekly dose of deals, data, and just real talk about the sports card hobby. I'm here with Ryan, our guest today, host of the new Collectibles on SI podcast. So really excited to have you here.
Hey man, I appreciate it. Excited to be here and can't wait to launch Collectibles on SI.
Yeah, it's going to be big. So I'm excited to see what you do with it. I know you're already big in the business world, but I'd love to hear about how you got into the hobby world. I know you're relatively new to dipping your toes into it. So talk to me about when you got back into it, what your collecting life looks like right now, etc.
A little bit of a story.
Yeah.
I grew up late 80s, early 90s, which is an unfortunate time.
Prime junk wax.
Yeah, junk wax.
Yep.
So I was an early collector, age, 8 to 13 or 14, and basketball, baseball, and, it was like most kids growing up, loved sports, played sports, collected, had, the binders full of stuff, the box full of cards, and, I think it made me more of a fan of the game, and I think that's what it does. You have favorite players, you're collecting them, and so I think as a kid, I was a collector. As, I guess, the late 80s, I'm sure there were bigger ones, but then you get into sports. I played basketball all through high school, and you start getting into sports and girls, I say,
And then cards go away.
Cards go in the top shelf of the closet. And, I would go look at them from time to time, nostalgia, going to college, coming home, your stuff that's still there even while you're growing up. But, I was definitely an early collector, but it literally went on the shelf for me personally for the better part of 25 plus years.
Yep.
I am blessed to have 4 sons now, and they're in their early teens, and my youngest is 9, so 16, 14, 13, 9. And they didn't immediately get into cards, and I didn't push them there. I think there's probably some dads or some parents that push, hey, you should get into collecting, because I'm trying to live through them. We've encouraged them to do sports and different activities, but it's a hobby, so I wasn't going to force their hobbies. But lo and behold, about a year ago, when one starts something, they all at least dabble for a little while, and sometimes it sticks for all of them. And sure enough, the sports card and even a bit of Pokemon stuck about a year ago. And Daddy was, on the shelf. Yeah. Daddy came off the shelf. And we went full bore the last year.
And you're all in.
I was all in. We got the old cards out, started collecting new, and now, it's been more learning the last year, the hobby's changed so much. When I grew up, you had three options of brands. Topps, Fleer, Donruss, and, Upper Deck came along, but didn't have all these variations and all the stuff that's happened, and it's been wonderful to see it, but the last year's been kind of learning, and I've built my business around my persona in business and social media and personal branding and all of that. And so it affords me the opportunity to point that attention and connection into things that I get interested in. And so that, the boys got into it. I made the phone calls for this show's there. Well, I know Pete in Charlotte, got in, VIP area maybe, or got some experiences leveraging my network and what I've built. And then building the podcast and media and all that, it's just started meeting people and met Gio and met,
and here we are.
Jeremy. And now I get to sit here with you and talk about all these things. So I know that's long-winded, but I was an early collector, so I'm not just bouncing in the game and don't have. I got a little OG.
You've got some foundation.
Yeah, some foundation.
The re-entry into the hobby is it has shifted a lot, and I'm so curious to hear you talk about all the new parallels and new sets. What were some of your pain points of coming into the hobby? Because I know a lot of new collectors, when they start coming in, they're like, it is now so overwhelming with so many things. Was there anything that really stood out to you as a pain point or something that you look back and you say, wow, I wouldn't have made that decision knowing what you know now, a year in or whatever?
Yeah, it's interesting. The biggest thing that's changed is the availability of knowledge.
Yep.
So if you think about like the proliferation of technology and apps and the internet,
Yep.
you know, my time in the original hobby didn't have any of that.
The Beckett book with the price guide, and that was it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And every LCS was a dick.
Yep.
Let's call it like it is.
Yeah.
I mean, at least in my neighborhoods, and they held all the cards, all the leverage. They had access to inventory. There's no internet to go e-commerce. There's nowhere to look up values other than Beckett.
Couldn't shop around.
Exactly. Yeah. And so now I'd almost say there might be too much knowledge.
That's fair, yeah.
Because, I'm doing, not to jump ahead, but with the show and with writing some stuff with Collectibles on SI, I've got some things earmarked, and I've got like a working title of "Will the Real Dealer Please Stand Up?"
Yeah,
because everybody's a dealer now.
Everybody, and the hobby has become such a business, and I think it's so interesting, obviously, having this conversation with you, who you have such an extensive business in the hobby. Now, I'm somebody who turned the passion for collecting and the love of it into a full-time business that now pays my bills, building your personal brand and all this and that. But the business of the hobby is such a proliferating aspect of it now that and I love it. I love that anybody can grow a little side business and do this. I'm huge, and I know this podcast is going to be big on using the hobby to fund the hobby. But I would call it the corporatization of the hobby is also an interesting question, with the huge investments of fanatics and, Tom Brady wanting to open up all these card shops with cards brought by Tom Brady across the country. What do you think about the balance of, as you said at the start, it's a hobby for you. It's something that you do to enjoy, to collect for the love of it, with balancing that business background knowledge that you so deeply have?
This is a real meta discussion because, we're talking about it and I'm making these comments, and then lo and behold, I'm kind of living and breathing it too. I came back in with my kids to have fun and do the hobby thing and collect and show them how to collect. But I also saw it though, I'm in a lot of business doing these things. My kids think it's cool. Daddy's a podcast host. Daddy has a lot of followers on Instagram. But they haven't really been into anything that I'm doing.
And now they are.
Yep. And it's been time for me with them to teach them negotiation, talking with other people, talking with adults, supply and demand, scarcity. So I'm able to teach them these things. So that's been great. But it's also been the balance for me of, it has and is turning into business opportunities because I own a media company and I'm interested in this, and it's kind of fallen. But here's where I feel okay about it. It's been very authentic and very organic. I didn't go, I love this hobby. I'm going to get my kids into it
and make a bunch of money off it. Yeah.
I've made a lot of money elsewhere.
Yeah.
Like I do okay, like without the hobby. But now I just see it as, I love all the people I'm meeting, and I'm just authentically getting into it to learn, to share what I have to share. Because I do think there's things in my gifts and what I know that can benefit the hobby. But I'm here to learn from guys like you and Gio and having a blast do it. But I just want to make it all a better hobby. And I do think, coming full circle to what we were saying, my only thing I don't love about it is the business. Like, it's okay to collect. It's okay to have your favorite player. And when I grew up, would I get pumped if I bought a card for $5 and sold it for $10? Yeah, of course I did. Did I have a little side hustle here and there? Yeah. But that was 20%. 80% of it was the pride of my collection. And I hope that we can find that balance again. Yeah,
I totally agree with you. I think that and again, using the hobby to fund the hobby is a great thing. And I'm actually a firm believer, despite the fact I know a lot of people look to me and they say, Alex, you have turned this into your full-time job. You get to play with baseball cards all day. That is the dream. I don't think for most people, it's the right thing to go and say, I want to pay my bills off of cards. I love what I do. I love creating content, but creating that balance, and I think it's a really important conversation. I've heard like Gio talk about it a few times, of the like making sure that you keep that love of collecting. And I think that when the business side gets so intertwined, it can get tough, especially with how expensive things have gotten today. Yeah. Now, when you started to dip your toes back into the hobby, were you somebody who was opening boxes and doing those types of things? Or were you just buying cards that you liked, like singles versus wax? Where did you fall in there?
100% ripping.
And that is that's what you hear every single time, anybody who gets back into it.
Because I'll say this, and here's why. It was time with,
it's fun.
Look, and it's fun with my kids.
Yep.
I would treat it as whatever we spent, whether it was $50 or $500 or whatever, it was time together, having fun. I wasn't going, okay, this is 500 every box.
Yep.
This is 500. Okay, we just
keep a tally in your head.
247. All right, we just lost $200. I'm in a position where I don't, the money matters to everybody.
Absolutely.
But it was more about the time with the kids. Yep. But we were ripping packs because here's why. It was a way for us to spend time together, to learn the new cards and to learn the new players of now, like we know them from watching the sports because we are a sports family, but understanding it was almost necessary, because if we just tried to go and buy the individual cards,
you don't know what to do.
We wouldn't know what to do. Now we're doing more of that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like if there was a curve of ripping versus buying,
it always happens.
It way up here, and now I'd say ripping's 20%, it's 80% sort of, now that we know what we know. And I'm starting to get more into the PC stuff. Josh Allen's my favorite player. Okay. Trevor Lawrence, I'm a Clemson grad. I think he's going to have a big turnaround, and because I think he's got the talent and the coach around him.
Yes.
And so him and all the Clemson, I got a huge box full of Clemson guys, some that are worth nothing,
and some that are worth
something to me, but some worth a lot.
And that's what's worth to you is so important. And I think that transition, everybody goes through that. Every new collector, whether it's you go to Target and you see a box, you're like, hey, it's been a while since I've opened something that might be fun, and you get the rush and the thrill of hitting a big card, and then you're like, okay, I'm going to keep doing this. But what so frequently happens is people do realize, wait a minute, I've spent all this money on these boxes, and what do I have to show for it? Whether that be from a monetary perspective, what do I have to show for it? Or I've got all these cards of guys that I don't actually like or want to collect when I could do this. But from a business perspective, I think it's such an interesting balance, because the business of the hobby is Topps, it is Fanatics, it is Panini. They make money when you open a box.
Yep.
They don't make money when you buy and sell a card at a card show or on eBay.
Yeah, and that singles market, their money's already been realized.
That singles market is important.
Yeah.
But for so long in the hobby, singles prices and box prices relatively ran in parallel to each other. Yep. It's not saying that every box you opened, you were guaranteed to make your money back. But there was value there. I think a lot of collectors now feel like most boxes there is not value in. It's still fun, and I think that approaching it for what it is, fun, is the right mentality and way to go about it. But finding that balance for both you as a collector, but also thinking on a business side is tough. That Topps wants boxes to be affordable and accessible, because if they're not, people aren't going to open them and they aren't going to collect. But if there's not value in those boxes, you're going to lose people.
Yep.
And I'm curious on your business mind, if you were, say, sitting down with Michael Rubin, how do you balance that, do you think, in terms of the future of the hobby?
Yeah, it's a great question. I don't think there's an easy answer. I think when you've got breakers and you've got all this stuff going on, it's the thrill of the chase.
Yes.
And that's where the money is. Like people want that excitement. It's the scratch-off card, excitement of not knowing what you're going to get.
Opening a box, I say this all the time, is like if you're going to the casino.
Yes.
If you treat going to a casino the right way, you're going in and you're saying, I have X amount of dollars to spend, and if I walk out with $0, that's okay, because I did this for entertainment, I did this for fun. If you win, don't get me wrong, it's really fun to win.
Yes.
But if you win, that is going to be just an added benefit and bonus on top of it.
Exactly. And I don't know if the genie can go back in the bottle.
I don't think it can.
And because there's too much money in the breaking and the thrill of the chase. And to be honest, the kids, and I don't love the affordability factor with kids and stuff. I don't like that. But the kids want the expensive things anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you go look at, when I was growing up, let's say with inflation and everything else now, $200 that's a good,
big card.
That's a big card.
Big card.
That $20 card when I was growing up, big card.
Yeah.
2025.
Yeah.
10x probably. Kids now, if a kid when I was growing up had 3 $20 cards in their collection, I'm talking about like 12-year-olds.
Crazy collection.
Great collection. They got, Ken Griffey Jr. rookie or McGuire rookie and something else. Roger Clemens.
Yep.
And now,
it's crazy.
The kids that are 12, they have 100 cards that are like $100 each.
I have been at shows where I set up, and there are kids that come up with a kid. You never know. You sometimes have kids that come up to your table and are looking to sell stuff, and they bring out the $5 to $10 cards, and that's great. There's nothing wrong with $5 to.
Nope.
My business is $5 to $10 cards. But then you also get the kids that come up, and they bring a case full of cards that's worth more than my house.
Exactly.
And
so I don't know. So it's tough. Like if there were all these kids, but I'm seeing more of those or more of somewhere in between than I am seeing the 12-year-old that's happy with a $3 card. So if the 12-year-old's not happy with a $3 card, then the values need to be high anyway, and it's not going to be quote affordable. So again, I don't know how to put that genie back in the bottle. So I think you got to follow the money to a degree. You're running a business, but I think Ruben is doing as good a job as I would know how to do.
I would agree
with things like FanFest and things that, I'm not saying that's cheap either, but like they're doing things to try to increase fanhood.
Grow the hobby.
Bring people in. And I think they're doing it the right way while balancing the fact that it's their job.
They're here to
make it as profitable as possible.
Yeah.
And I'm a businessman, so you're going to get my perspective is I'm not going to hold a grudge to that as someone that does that same thing, not in the hobby.
Yeah.
So every day.
Yeah.
And I don't want anyone telling me how much profit to make as long as it's fair, honest, and good business.
Yep.
And so it's not an easy thing, but I think sometimes the hobby gets lumped into this thing because it is collectibles and it's this sort of homegrown American thing in a way, but it's still a business.
It is. And I think your point about the genie not going back in the bottle, everybody likes to be nostalgic for how it used to be.
Yep.
And sometimes just accepting the reality of where we are now. And that's not to say, and there are people who do good business in the hobby, and there are people who do bad business in the hobby.
Yep.
You will see it in repacks. You will see it in just anywhere that you go. I guarantee you this weekend at the National, you will see it. Now, this is your first National, right?
Yeah, first National.
We are recording this. The show is about to open. How are you feeling going into your first National?
Excited. I've got 2 of my 4 boys here and excited for them.
Yeah.
I mean, excited for me too. Like, it's like card shows are fun.
They are.
And this is the mecca of the card show world.
As big as it
so
gets.
that's not lost on me. Mm-hmm. And so there's definitely a childlike excitement. But at the same time, it has organically transitioned, with the Collectibles on SI show into a business opportunity. And I am looking at it as building relationships.
Yep. The network is huge.
Yeah. So just shaking hands, kissing babies. Like, not because I'm playing politics, but just it's refreshing when you can do business around something that's passionate. I mean, anyone would kill for that.
Yeah.
And if I say anything, like, I have spent the last 10 years doing what I've done to get the potential leverage opportunity to do that, or to get the attention to have Jeremy and Mike and these guys invite me on the team. So, I'm not going to say sorry. But
and there's the beauty, though, of the hobby, too, is that whether you're in it to make money or whether you're in it just to collect and have fun, all of those business principles still apply. The network is so important. I can't tell you, I make content, and I've had people say to me many times before when, I go up and I film myself making a deal and they say, you only got that deal because they know who you are. And my answer is yes. I got that deal because they know who I am, because I've put in the time. I sat at that table for an hour and a half and I talked with that dealer. I asked them, how their travel was in. I asked them how the show is going for them. I put the time in to build a relationship with that dealer. And when people like you, they're gonna wanna work with you.
Exactly.
And it doesn't matter whether or not you're here to make money or here to have fun. You wanna build that network.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter in the hobby. You need to do those things. You need to know how to negotiate. You need to know how to build relationships and build that network. And that's gonna lead to a better experience no matter what your goal is.
Exactly. And my show right about now, we're the #1 business marketing show, and I say it's an overnight success in 7 years. It doesn't happen. But I'll tell you why I started that show. And even now that it's successful, but it wasn't the first 2 years.
Yeah.
Like any other podcast and everything else. But I did it for the same reason, and I'll say that it's going to come full circle to what we're talking about here. I did it to build relationships, to have guests on, to have discussions about business, to learn from them, to get to know them, and meet more people in a world that's become more digital. But I can do remote interviews and walk out of that feeling like they're my best friend, almost just about, especially when you hit it off. And that's what organically happened here, is if even with my kids getting into it, and pointing my network towards, hey, can we come do this or that? Or could there be business here? If I met a bunch of people and I was like, these guys are assholes,
You're not gonna work with them.
I would have said, we're just gonna keep it only a hobby.
Yep.
But meeting Brian Ludden of Ludex, who's awesome, and I consider a great friend now. Meeting Jeremy, who's I consider a great friend. Meeting Gio, meeting all these countless people that I genuinely like and want to hang out with and do business with. That is why I'm here and in it. More than, I don't have to make $1 in this business. And those relationships will pay dividends in just, I don't know.
The joy.
In the joy and happiness of getting to do business with them.
It's such a, we just had a baby 3 months ago, and it's such an interesting thing coming to things like this, and that this is a business trip. This is, I am here to network. I am here to meet with corporate partners. I am here to run my business that pays our bills.
Right.
But it's also a lot of freaking fun. It's so much fun seeing all of my friends. It truly is seeing friends, seeing people that I love the relationships with. And but that also to me says that you're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
But I say, the day that this stops being fun for me is the day you guys are never gonna see me again. It takes way too much work. It takes way too much money. I have a ton of fun with it, and that to me is what matters the most. And I'm excited to have fun this weekend. Do you have your eye on anything? Are there any cards you're hoping to maybe leave with?
I'm always looking for, I don't have the Grail Josh Allen rookies.
Okay.
I've gotten a lot of good, cards are in and around.
Yeah.
But
you want a big one.
I want a big one. And if it happens, it happens.
And if not, don't force it.
Also can recognize this may or may not be the best place to get the best deal on that card.
It's good to know that you know that coming into your first national.
Well, it's more my business sense of knowing okay, this
supply and demand. There's a lot of buyer supply.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so we'll see if this is it. I'll have fun no matter what, walking around and getting limited edition stuff. And look, I'm here to spread the word of the new show.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, that would be a win. And anything in the Clemson guys, I'm always got my eyes out for.
Absolutely.
But man, I give you a lot of credit though, because you've been able to do what very few people do in turning the hobby into a business that pays your bills. Mm-hmm. And that's a very difficult thing because it's hard for most guys, girls, whoever, guys in it, to separate the passion from the business.
Yep.
That's not easy to do because, in business every day, you go collect a paycheck or, whether you're an entrepreneur or whatever, it's not normally your passion or something that you're into too.
Yeah.
To this level. Mm-hmm. So it says a lot that I think you could probably be successful in just about any business you'd be in. If you could do it in this, something tells me you've got the business sense to do it. And, but kudos to you, man.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I grew up in an entrepreneurial family, so
That's
I definitely
clear.
have been around that business side.
I didn't know if it was nature or nurture, but
it's a little bit of both. But I also think that one of the things that I'm big on is I do have some separation. I've had people ask me before, you know, if push came to shove, would you sell a card out of your PC to keep the business alive? And my answer is no. And that might surprise you, but the way that I've set myself up as a business, if I get to the point where I'm saying I need to sell that card to make things work, I'll accept the point that I failed, that it has not worked out. And, you know, we're almost a year full-time into selling cards and things are going better than ever. We're growing. We've got this new podcast we're launching. So I'm feeling confident. I'm very, you know, confident in my skills, but creating some separation there is also important to make sure that you've got the fun of it, no matter how you're approaching it all. So, and it's going to be a fun weekend.
It is going to be fun.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate you for having me on, and, you know, like, I look forward to being on the team with you.
Absolutely. I appreciate you coming on. Now let's go hit that show floor.
Let's do it.
Awesome.